The global fashion world witnessed a seismic moment today as BTS's youngest member, Jungkook, took center stage at the Calvin Klein New York Fashion Show, kicking off New York Fashion Week Spring 2026 with unmatched charisma. Dressed head to toe in Calvin Klein's bold black leather collection, paired with his trademark laid-back confidence, Jungkook turned heads and dominated headlines across the globe. But as the images of Jungkook went viral, it wasn't only his fashion statement that shocked fans. It was Jin's surprising reaction that left everyone talking. Arriving at the venue, Jungkook embodied the epitome of Calvin Klein's modern rebellion style. His oversized black leather jacket, sleek leather pants, and crisp white shirt were effortlessly balanced with a signature beanie and mask combo, showcasing his ability to blend casual comfort with luxury. As flashbulbs lit up and fans flooded X with hashtags like #JUNGKOKXCLVNKLEN and #Jungkook for Calvin Klein, it was clear Jungkook wasn't just attending, he was owning the night. Critics hailed his appearance as a perfect convergence of K-pop stardom and American fashion heritage. Fashion blogs in both New York and Seoul noted that Jungkook's look blurred the lines between rock star and runway model, placing him in a category all his own. While Jungkook was making headlines in New York, BTS's eldest member Jin unexpectedly became part of the narrative. Just hours after the event, Jin logged onto Weverse with a post that seemed too perfectly timed to be a coincidence. His message: "Leather suits you well. I didn't expect to see our Magne like this. You're shining brighter than the runway lights." The comment immediately sent ARMY into a frenzy. Fans quickly circulated screenshots, interpreting the message not just as brotherly pride, but as a signal of deeper support, or perhaps a hint at Jin's own upcoming fashion involvement. Within minutes, hashtags like #JinReaction and #SeokjinSurprise began trending alongside Jungkook's Calvin Klein tags. Speculation about a fashion duo as soon as Jin's post surfaced, industry insiders began to stir. Could this be foreshadowing a potential fashion collaboration between Jin and Jungkook? One Korean fashion columnist suggested that a Gucci x Calvin Klein crossover campaign could be in the works, an unprecedented partnership if confirmed. Imagine the eldest and youngest BTS members headlining rival fashion houses in the same season, wrote the columnist. It would be the story of the year. Others speculate the two might appear together in upcoming fashion-themed BTS content tied to the group's spring 2026 comeback, bridging their solo fashion successes into a collective project. Fans were deeply moved by the interaction. Comments flooded social platforms. Jin's words gave me chills. It's like watching an older brother beam with pride. Jungkook slayed the show, but Jin stole my heart with one sentence. Can we please have Jin and Jungkook on the same runway? HYBE. Make it happen. Fan edits showcasing Jin's Gucci runway walk side by side with Jungkook's Calvin Klein entrance quickly gained millions of views, reinforcing the narrative of BTS members becoming individual fashion titans while still lifting each other up. The energy inside the Calvin Klein venue in New York was electric, but the conversation didn't end when Jungkook left the stage. Instead, it only grew louder as Jin's reaction began to dominate social feeds. The timing was uncanny. Jin's post appeared just as international media outlets were publishing their first reviews of the show. It felt almost like Jin was watching in real time, responding not just as a fellow member, but as someone who understood exactly how significant this moment was for Jungkook. His words, simple yet sincere, became a headline of their own, turning a fashion highlight into a moment of emotional resonance between two brothers in music and now, in global culture. Fashion experts quickly picked up on the duality of the moment. Here was Jungkook, the youngest, pushing the boundaries of Calvin Klein's identity with his rebellious yet polished look. And here was Jin, the eldest, who had just weeks earlier embodied the refined luxury of Gucci in Paris. The juxtaposition of these two appearances and Jin's willingness to celebrate Jungkook publicly created a narrative that was impossible to ignore. Commentators began speculating whether this was more than coincidence, suggesting that HYBE might be weaving together a larger story, one that places different BTS members in different global brands while still tying them back to the collective legacy of the group. Fans, of course, needed no prompting. Within hours, ARMY had flooded social platforms with edits placing Jin and Jungkook side by side, their contrasting styles forming a perfect balance, Jin's sophistication against Jungkook's boldness. The imagery struck a chord, fueling the idea that BTS's influence in fashion could be as revolutionary as their impact on music. Some even declared it the beginning of a new era, an era where BTS doesn't just walk the runways, but defines them. Jin's response added layers of meaning beyond fashion. For many ARMY, it reflected the deep bond between the eldest and youngest members, a relationship that has often been seen but rarely highlighted in such a public, vulnerable way. To see Jin acknowledge Jungkook, not just as a bandmate, but as a man stepping into his own, was profoundly moving. Fans interpreted it as an older brother's pride, a quiet validation that resonated far more deeply than any press release or promotional campaign ever could. As the news cycle continued, analysts began to consider the wider implications. Could Jin and Jungkook eventually share the same stage in a joint fashion campaign? Would their solo brand work eventually converge into a powerful narrative that bridges East and West, music and style, individuality and unity? With BTS's full group comeback set for spring 2026, the possibility that these solo fashion ventures might tie into a broader group narrative only heightened the sense of anticipation. For now, what remains clear is that Jungkook's Calvin Klein debut and Jin's Gucci triumph are not isolated events. They are milestones in a larger, unfolding story of how BTS members are shaping global culture individually while still supporting one another in ways that keep the heart of the group alive. Jin's unexpected reaction to Jungkook's New York appearance has proven once again that even in moments of solo glory, BTS is never truly apart. The bond remains, the pride remains, and together, they continue to shape not just the future of music, but the very fabric of fashion itself. As the dust settled after the Calvin Klein New York fashion show, international headlines began to shift focus. It was no longer just about Jungkook's flawless look or his commanding presence on the runway. It was about the rare synergy that unfolded when Jin added his voice to the conversation. In that one short post, Jin transformed a high-fashion moment into something more intimate and unforgettable. Fans around the world began describing it not only as a celebration of Jungkook, but also as an emblem of the enduring bond between BTS members, a bond that refuses to weaken even as each of them pursues individual paths. The fashion world, too, could not ignore the narrative. For Calvin Klein, Jungkook's appearance marked a pinnacle moment of cross-cultural influence, solidifying him as one of the most powerful ambassadors the brand has ever had. His leather-clad look instantly became a global talking point, a symbol of youthful rebellion merged with timeless style. Yet what elevated the night beyond just fashion was Jin's parallel presence in the story. Having walked into Gucci's Paris Fashion Week spotlight only weeks before, Jin's approval of Jungkook's New York triumph created a rare duality. Two members of BTS, in two different cities, representing two of the most iconic fashion houses in the world, yet bound by a connection that fans could feel across oceans. Analysts in both Korea and the US pointed out that this alignment could not have been coincidental. Jin and Jungkook embody two contrasting archetypes, the poised sophistication of the elder and the fearless boldness of the younger. Together, they paint a picture of BTS's range, proving that the group is not just compatible with global fashion but capable of shaping its narrative direction. The possibility of future projects involving both brands, whether in competition or collaboration, has sparked unprecedented speculation. Could BTS redefine luxury fashion by allowing members to become the faces of rival houses while still amplifying each other's influence? The thought itself has already sent ripples through the fashion industry. For ARMY, however, the story is simpler and far more emotional. Jin's words to Jungkook carried the weight of years spent as Hyung and Magne, the eldest and youngest. They reminded fans of moments long past, Jin encouraging Jungkook during BTS's earliest days, Jungkook quietly watching Jin's every move as a trainee, their bond forged not through grand gestures, but through small acts of support and respect. To see that relationship now play out on the stage of international fashion was overwhelming for many, and countless fan posts described the moment as one of the most touching chapters in the BTS story. What makes this narrative powerful is its authenticity. Jin didn't overshadow Jungkook, nor did Jungkook's triumph diminish Jin's achievements. Instead, their paths complemented one another, proving that individual glory does not mean the absence of unity. It is this balance between individuality and togetherness that sets BTS apart, even as the members pursue solo successes across the globe.